We are only 3 days into the new year in 2026, and Donald Trump, the United States, has started a new war, or at least an aggression, clearly utterly against international law. Here you see the pictures of what was carried out this night in the United States, last night here in Asia. From where I speak, it is currently 8 a.m. over here, which means in the United States it is now 6 a.m. And in Venezuela, in Caracas, this is what started last night. You see explosions in Venezuela, in the capital of Caracas, and we have several videos now also published by news agencies that clearly indicate that a large-scale military operation is underway. RT Russia informs us that overnight multiple explosions were heard early on Saturday in Caracas, Venezuela's capital, according to media reports. The blasts come amid a deepening standoff between Venezuela and the administration. And here we have one more video that shows how parts of the city are obviously coming under fire. So this was not just a limited affair. Apparently there were outbursts and explosions in at least 3 cities in Venezuela. And to top everything off, it is now reported that Mr. Maduro has been captured. That's what Mr. Trump announced. Apparently, the leader, the president of Venezuela, somehow is now in an airplane and is being flown out of Venezuela. How that happened, we have no idea. Right now, it just seems that if this is true, then one of the prime objectives of the United States will have been achieved, which is removing Nicolas Maduro from power. Many of us expected that it would be an assassination attempt. That he is apparently being flown out of the country is really bizarre and reminds me very, very heavily right now of the way that the United States managed to capture Manuel Noriega of Panama back in '89 and whisk him out of the country and then have him trialed in the United States. So after months and months of military buildup with large parts of the US Navy parked right outside Venezuela, it seems that Donald Trump decided to go for what probably will be called a precision strike. And Donald Trump already boasted about this. I don't have it here on screen, but he made an announcement on his Truth Social account that reads as follows. As soon as I have it, here it is. The United States of America has successfully carried out a large-scale strike against Venezuela and its leader, President Nicolas Maduro, who has been, along with his wife, captured and flown out of the country. This operation was done in conjunction with U.S. law enforcement. Details to follow. There will be news conference today at 11 a.m. at Mar-a-Lago. Thank you for your attention to this matter, Donald J. Trump. In conjunction with U.S. law enforcement, this is utter nonsense. U.S. law enforcement refers to police officers, refers to people of the judiciary arm of the U.S., and these are certainly the people that are not part of this, until and unless the Coast Guards. The Coast Guards are also called police forces, but you cannot tell me that these kind of destructions can be caused by police or Coast Guard in another country, in Venezuela, in South America. You see these strikes are relatively strong. They're big. These are probably missiles that were fired in there. Max Blumenthal also managed to get a video. Max Blumenthal of the Gray Zone says that Venezuela's capital is now under attack by the U.S. regime. No authorization from Congress, no popular American support, just another terrorist war for oil, plunder, and imperial control, initiated with shock and awe. Let's watch this. So helicopters, I have no idea whether these are helicopters of Venezuela or US helicopters flying over Caracas. could even be planes. I'm sorry. I'm a lousy military analyst when it comes to this one. And we will see more. We will get the proper analysis by the people, Daniel Davis and the others, who would immediately be able to tell you more about what this means. But you can tell how large. You can tell now how large these attacks were on Caracas. This is not this is not a small operation. This is war. This is not just a casus belli, this is war. This is what before 1945 you would have needed congressional approval for, because the United States president, of course, doesn't have the power to make war. But since all of these considerations, plus the word war itself, has been banished even out of international law, well, the administration just acts however it wants. My friend and colleague Glenn Deason got his hands on another video. He is saying that the US is bombing Venezuela in an actual unprovoked attack. Many excuses will be given over the next days. Narco-terrorism, Hezbollah, Hamas, Iran, and others operating in Venezuela, democracy promotion, backed by the Nobel Peace Prize, etc. Again, you see how large these explosions are, and how massive the strike must have been. The fact that Nicolas Maduro, if he was indeed captured, that they got to him, means almost certainly to me that he must have been betrayed from the inside, that it must have been possible to somehow pay off people in his close circle to then in some coordinated way get him out of there. I just cannot imagine the US Special Forces landing and taking him out of the presidential palace under heavy fire. So we will see what this story with Maduro will come out, what will come out about it. But RT is actually reporting that there were rumors that the US was trying to somehow bribe people in Maduro's very close circle. There is something around here. In November, the New York Times reported that one plan could potentially involve U.S. Special Operation troops, including the Delta Forces and Navy SEALs, to capture or kill Maduro, who was reportedly described as a narco trafficker. There's another one that I meant to read to you. Oh yeah, here, this one. In October, Trump said that he had authorized CIA operations in Venezuela, prompting a backlash from Caracas. The same month, AP reported that the agents had tried to recruit Maduro's personal pilot to capture the president and deliver him to the US, which would take him into custody and drug trafficking charges. So things like these are now absolutely thinkable if indeed it is true that Maduro has been captured. I must also say that his vice president, she actually hasn't heard about Maduro or his wife, and she's asking for a proof of life of him. And of course, it is the middle of the night on the night of the 2nd. This was the night of the 2nd of December to the 3rd of December. So in the dead of night, in the late evening or early morning hours, this operation started and must have lasted now many hours, and is obviously still going on. So a sneak attack, a nighttime sneak attack on the president of Venezuela, on the entire state of Venezuela, on the government of Venezuela, with obviously the intention now to change to the Nobel Peace Prize winner, Maria Machado, who is currently, who's waiting and who has been posting and who has been begging the United States as a Nobel Peace Prize winner to please bomb her home country, which any good Nobel Peace Prize winner will do. I mean, it's now understood that in order to win a Nobel Peace Prize, you must either do drone strikes and start wars, or you must beg for wars. That's now a given. So she checks all of those, and it is. The United States is still working on getting her into power, or the person who was running her deputy, so to speak, in Venezuela, who was running in the last presidential elections in Venezuela against Mr. Maduro, and who the U.S. administration says they recognize as the official president, and not Mr. Maduro. Now, however, Do we have more about this? Oh, yeah, there's one more thing I want to mention at this point. It seems that Donald Trump really likes the new year in order to attack other countries. I would like to point out that it was on this day, on the 3rd of December, in the dead of night, that Mr. Trump, exactly 5 years ago, attacked and killed Qasem Soleimani when Soleimani just had landed in Iraq, in Baghdad, to talk to the Baghdadi government. Qasem Soleimani, of course, having been the leader of one of the military arms of Iran. The top general of Iran, who was just about to be received by the leadership of Iraq, and the United States blew up his car that he used in order to go from the Tamarack to the city. And that happened on exactly the same night, and Mr. Trump was very, very proud of that achievement. He said, yeah, we gave it to them. In response, Iran then fired back a couple of missiles without hit at US bases, I think also in Iraq, without or in Syria, without hitting or killing anyone, and the affair was over. Now it seems that Donald Trump is banking on this one going down in exactly the same way, being able to whisk away Mr. Maduro, and thereby thereby basically create a regime change by fact. And of course, like, it is quite astonishing, because in one article I even read that the United States has an ongoing case against Mr. Maduro at the International Criminal Court, the very criminal court that the United States is sanctioning, or parts of the court that the U.S. is sanctioning because of their issuing an arrest warrant for Benjamin Netanyahu. Let's not go into this. I do not think that Mr. Trump will ever hand over Mr. Maduro to the Hague. If indeed he captured him, Mr. Maduro will be tried in a mock trial, in a show trial, in a show of force in the United States under U.S. law for whatever bogus or suspicious kind of allegations. And it will be, if indeed true, it will be a big theater. But I do believe that this is probably a serious mistake. If captured alive, then Mr. Maduro is now a prisoner of conscience. Not a prisoner of conscience, sorry. I take that back. He's going to be a prisoner, a hostage of the United States, as a sitting president of another country, recognized by nearly all other countries. Not everybody, not all the European states recognize Mr. Maduro, but China does, Russia does, large parts of the global south recognizes Mr. Maduro. So we now have a situation in which basically the entire global south knows that the empire in the north has captured a sitting head of state, and would hold him hostage. It will be interesting to see what they will do with his wife as well, if she's indeed also part of this kidnapping that now took place. This is, of course, a new level of escalation. We haven't seen something like this. Even Mr. Noriega, back in 1989, was the kingpin. He was the strong man of the army, and the man who governed, who had effective control over Panama, but he was never in the same way legitimized through public vote as a leader, as president. And of course, it must be pointed out that Mr. Noriega was a very willing puppet of the United States and the CIA in the beginning, and then fell out of grace when he went astray and did things that the US didn't approve of very much anymore. Now, I do need to I would just like to point out that I think this is extremely foolish. Until and unless the United States actually has large-scale buy-in of the Venezuelan public or of the military leadership of Venezuela, this will not fly. It is possible that the United States managed to undermine and capture the key military leaders in Venezuela, and through that now believing that this is what it needs in order to get to regime change. Because again, regime change without the buy-in of important clusters of the political elites in a country won't work. You cannot just replace a president from one to the next, to another, and expect that everybody will just go along, especially if it happens in this way. Even if the United States now says that the official president is Miss Machado, or her deputy, as long as the political structures in Venezuela do not accept that. The Venezuelan constitution, naturally, like most constitutions, have a provision that if the president dies or something happens, then the leadership of the country will be taken over by the vice president. That's exactly what would happen in the United States as well. If Donald Trump was kidnapped, it would be J.D. Vance who would take over the reins of the presidency, as happened when JFK was killed and Lyndon B. Johnson came in, right? So what you achieve here, and we don't know the details yet, if the plan was to also kidnap the entire government, and that failed, we don't know. Because if it's really just Mr. Maduro who was captured, then, well, what you did is you're just testing whether the head of the snake is really the head, or whether this is a hydra that has enough heads that then just take over again. A modern government is not a one-man show. So if Mr. Trump believes that it is only Mr. Maduro that runs everything, then he will probably have a very rude awakening. The only way in which I can see that this has any form of chance of succeeding into a successful regime change, so that you then have a US-friendly government in place that just does everything the bidding of the US, is either through large-scale buy-in of the population that you just bombed, but usually bombing a place has the effect of people rallying under the flag. Because you're under attack, you will naturally start believing that the people who told you that we're going to be under attack, that we're going to be attacked, that those people will get more credibility, and those people were the Maduro people. So we've seen that in Iran half a year ago, during the 12-day war, when the bombing of Tehran and other places actually didn't lead to the population to stand up and throw out the sitting regime, but actually support for them grew during these attacks. So in Venezuela too, we are probably witnessing. We will probably see rather more approval of the sitting regime, not less. But I might be wrong about this. So if you get large scale buying by the population, and then a new election that out of this constitutional crisis, then, well, maybe the opposition forces will win. Also, who is there to say that there won't be any cheating? But let's leave this aside. The other option to get this done is if you receive large scale buy-in from the military forces. So we are just getting in pictures from The Guardian that obviously the military in Venezuela has been activated and is patrolling on the street. Military personnel guard the perimeter of the Miraflores presidential palace in Caracas, Venezuela, on Saturday. So if Mr. Maduro indeed has been captured here, then that would mean that these forces must have been eliminated. If not, then maybe he was flown out, but just as this other plan said, while he was on a plane himself. But we now get these pictures here that people are obviously gearing up for protecting their country. Now, again, until and unless you have buy-in from either the people or the army, you will not succeed in a swift regime change. The danger you're running here is that you're poking into a hornet's nest. We know that Venezuela is not completely under the control of the central government. Venezuela has large forests in its back that connected also with Colombia. We know that there are parts of the country that are not under firm control, and we know that there is a lot of places for guerrillas to actually go and withdraw into. But we also know that the military so far has been very loyal to Mr. Maduro. We know that the preparations for an attack like this have been going on for months. So the fact that this was possible obviously shows us that the United States does have strength pure, brutal military strength to blow up things en masse. Like again, pictures like these, pictures like the what we've seen from Glenn Deason, that that you can bomb stuff, and the United States has what it needs in terms of military equipment. It has the drones, it has the missiles, it has the necessary airplanes. It had all of its large parts of the navy parked in front of Venezuela. So yes, there is military power, but after military power must come some political succession. And if you cannot manage that, then all of this, what this will do is it will destabilize a large country with a large population in your backyard, and it will be a new breeding ground for drugs and terrorism. Congratulations, United States! 3 days into the new year, and we've got a new war, we've got a new illegality, we've got a new proof that there is no constraint to even the Trump administration, that this whole charade of the peace president that is now has been a year old was really nothing else than that. It is total domination of the hemisphere. The thing to look forward to is the reaction from Russia and from China. The big question is, will they be more or less silent on it and tempered and measured, and basically tacitly accept the United States claim of the Western hemisphere that that they run this show and they will not get involved in it? Or will they actually speak up, and will they try to make things difficult for them in the Security Council? Will they actually try to support Venezuela, or whatever the now successor government of Mr. Maduro is going to be by the vice president? Either of these two is possible. Either is possible. I don't know, but the reaction of China and Russia will tell us a lot about where the multipolar future is leading us into. Unfortunately, it seems not to be into a less violent 2026. Thank you.